All right, this is the Group 12 coursework for International Procurement Management. My name is Mongoto James, student number 200-140-0382.
My name is Washington Walter Okello. My student number is 200-1400-715.
My name is Nakanja Kosmaya, student number 200-140-4265.
My name is Roger Swechan Edward, student number 200-140-30021.
My name is Kagoya Halima, student number 200-140-356.
All right, thank you. The coursework I was provided with the two questions. The first question was saying, based on the knowledge of international procurement management, advise on a range of remedies that can be implemented. And then it two, the question was saying, identify and discuss a range of strategy options that can be designed and implemented by organizations to survive with demise now and in the future of similar and even much worse pandemics like COVID-19. So to tackle question one, we say this Mongoto James project, Mongoto James presenting the introductory part and the slides as follows. We are defining international procurement as sourcing of goods, services, and works from suppliers or providers outside the borders of Uganda. It's more for an overseas procurement where we acquire goods across the globe. And this normally arises when the suppliers don't have the capacity, or sometimes when we need to meet some quality standards that are available on the international market. And in regards to question one, basically we're looking at the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, which was involving the issues of procurement. And we, as we are all aware that with the issues of security, the procurements are always classified. However, in regards to the specification, which we define as a detailed description of the design and materials used to make something, it can also be in form of performance, functionality, propriety. Propriety means like the rights that are associated with it and the duration that it takes. So mostly in this case study, we're asked to look at the remedies. Of course, a remedy, we're all aware that it is a way of solving a problem, a challenge, or ordering someone to make payments for harm or damage that they have caused during a problem, or using a decision made in a law court. Now, with the DCK study of the UPDF, we realized that there are some challenges that were cited in these specifications. And among them, we looked at a poor quality for a lower cost, which UPDF adopted or they didn't understand. Then there were unclear specifications from the users. We had the absence of supply assessment and lack of transparency, whereby the inadequate information was provided by the Ministry of Defense. You know, sometimes when you are developing specifications, we need a accurate data or clear data that should be provided for. And then the due diligence was also not done on suppliers, especially that Chinese firm. And then contract management, not handling the clear accreditation. In other words, the supervisor of the contractor and the contract manager did not really handle the issues of quality, which brought the issues of the defaults and the defects, like now the uniform which was taken to Somalia and they got destroyed upon washing. So it means the issues of due diligence were lacking here. Now, to tackle the question, we looked at now, based on the above challenges, there are issues of the remedies, and one of them is the sourcing based on internationally approved quality standards, which UPDF should have taken into consideration, because these standards are always available in the market and it helps in the benchmark for comparison to make sure that when the goods are delivered, it is really fit for the purpose of which the UPDF was to to buy and achieve value for money. Another remedy that we saw is providing a clear breakdown of specifications by the user department or the technical person. With the ministry, they should have gotten a person or the department which should have developed these specifications, and they should have handled it technically or they should have been on the industrial basis, or it should have been on the commercial basis. And also they should be in line with the ISO 9001, which are always quality standards accepted across the globe. Then we have the due diligence, which UPDF should have conducted before the award of a contract. And normally with the due diligence, it helps on the issues of capacity to check whether the firm, especially this Chinese firm, had the capacity to provide for the uniforms that we needed. And mostly this is done on the post-qualification, on the technical part of the supplier, the technical personalities, the processes that we needed. And then understanding the supplier's capability. With the professional procurement, UPDF or the Ministry of Defense should have always looked at monitoring suppliers, especially the local content and those ones who are out, to make sure that their standards are met. And always this can be done through the regular review of the suppliers and monitoring the key performance indicators that should have been stated or agreed on when the procurement was initiated. Then another remedy that we saw here is agreeing on the key performance indicators. Ministry of Defense has to come up with the best practices that are vital in executing the process of procurement. And mostly these practices or the key performance indicators, they're in a variation, the variety, velocity, the visibility, and the volume. And the others that can be also included, we can look at the price variation, percentage, cost reduction, peak delivery. Then another remedy that we looked at was basically UPDF to have worked with accredited suppliers, both locally and foreign. Ministry of Defense should actually look at those suppliers who are certified and how do they get this information. They can get it from the suppliers registration, and for local service providers, we can look at the PPD register of providers and maybe the World Bank of list of providers. And then another remedy that we could be looking at is conducting thorough supplier evaluation criteria assessment. For any supplier to be brought on board to supply or to enter into the issues of procurement, we should have involved them actively during the problem solving processes to really get into the insight that whatever we needed, they should have the knowledge, and they would be going to the market while looking at what we need or the problems that we have at hand. And in this regards, it will help us in the form of developing the strategic business partners. This would help to avert the problem which was brought on board. Another issue that we looked at is the pre-shipment inspection conducted at the supplier's premise. Before the shipment of these products, we also expected that UPDF, or we always expect any team, if it's a procurement, that a team is sent to the supplier's entity or nationality, especially on this Chinese firm, to verify what are the processes that these firms use for producing, and even the personnel, do they have what is clear, or how do they produce these items, and then mostly what are their accreditation standards that they use, such that the issue of unclear specifications should have been averted at this stage. Then also we are saying that the UPDF or the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs should adopt clear business procurement function processes just to make use of procurement systems and leadership principles that offers clear and compelling business process. And automatically, if these principles are to be followed, transparency and others that are seen in the PPDA Act, all these issues of a poor quality versus the poor raw specifications should have been brought. Another issue that we looked at as a remedy is a mechanism for developing the local suppliers. Of course, the idea is all about here is information sharing on product design, packaging, latest trends on the market. Once this information is shared, it helps even the local suppliers to get to know or to get acquainted on all what we needed. And then seeking for performance security where necessary is another strategy that we are trying to look at. So we're saying that when these documents were being issued out, or any other document that the Ministry of Defense issued out when they're sourcing for these projects, they at the time of contract documentation, they should have requested for a performance security to help avert the issues of non-compliance, the contract terms and conditions, and also to deter these issues of quality problems in case all the issues were to be brought on board and the contractor was requested to give the performance security that we deemed to be fairly acceptable to the ministry. And in summary of the question one, we are saying that several organizations are faced with a variety of procurement problems and challenges. And the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, when planning to source its supplies from foreign firms, always asked a major role to see that whatever procurements they engage in, proper procurement systems and practices have to be followed to avert these quality problems. Over to the next presenter.
Yeah, thank you so much, the current speaker. We are coming to number two. My name is Washington Walter Okello. Number two, the question reads, with example that we discussed the lessons learned during the pandemic from these organizations that involved in global value chain. Pandemic, first of all, like COVID-19, it emerged from Wuhan in China, and it was discovered in 2019 December. Global value chain is referred to as the international production sharing, where production is broken into activities and tasks carried out in different countries. We give an example of the Boeing 798, whereby it's manufactured and then the supply is done in different countries. For example, the in front part maybe is done from Italy, the middle part like is done from USA, the wings from Australia, like that. So global value chain means sharing the production and then breaking activities into different tasks for different countries. Kindly proceed with the slide. Kindly proceed with the slide. So that is what global value chain is. So during this pandemic, we learned a lot of lessons from those organizations that are involved in global value chain because of the impact of the pandemic. So there are a lot of lessons that we have learned. You know, global value chain is either backward or forward linkages, whereby forward linkages is like country A having the input to be supplied to country B. Then forward linkages is country B supplying country A with the input. So there are a lot of lessons that are learned during this COVID from those companies that are involved in global value chain. For example, we have digitalization and teleworking. According to the data from Europe, that the link is there, global value chain really, because of COVID-19, they adopted teleworking. Teleworking means working from home, and then working from home, it really boosts their economies. Instead of people seated, they use teleworking and digitalization to make their organization and company continue with the work. Proceed with the next slide. The other lesson that I learned, the other lesson is effective technology and knowledge sharing. During this pandemic, there was a lot of knowledge sharing whereby developed countries, they were combined with developing countries, and then the knowledge would be shared amongst them. So in this case, once the knowledge is shared, it means people will get more equipped, more knowledge, more skills to do the work learned. So we learned that it is good that knowledge are shared within this pandemic period. They are also like having multiple sources of suppliers. For example, in Uganda here, we have Mukwana group of companies. This Mukwana group of companies, they supply their goods in Uganda and then outside countries like South Sudan and then Rwanda. So those people from South Sudan and Rwanda, because they have several sources of suppliers, they were not affected so much. Continue with the slide for the next lessons that we learned. The other lesson that we learned is globalized system of production. You know, global chain increase efficiency in globalization system of production. What do I mean here? There are stages of production for companies that are involved in the global value chain, like as I gave an example of the Boeing. So you find that this Boeing, Some parts are made from Japan, some parts are made from South Korea. So this globalized system of production help these companies that are involved in global value chain to achieve their objectives of capturing the market place and then their customers. The other lesson that I learned is that it is a strategy for growth, considering countries outside the global value chain. The pandemic really affected them so much. Now, I give an example of those countries, those organizations like organizations that deal in agriculture. Their goods were not really into the world market because of the pandemic, and then there were closed borders where you cannot go from one border to another. Continue with the slide for the next strategy. Next lesson learned. The other lesson learned is an option for countries seeking industrialization. Most companies and countries that wanted to involve themselves in industrialization, they involve themselves in global value chain, so that they really picked what is good from other countries and really they adopt in their own country. Then the next lesson learned is it is an open consideration opportunities for knowledge transfer. You know, once one part is made from another country and another one is made from another country, for in that case of the Boeing, you find that knowledge are being shared, and then quality, price are also considered in this. And then there are always loopholes that they always see, and they come with the solution straight away to curb it. Next slide. Come. Next slide. There's also the lesson learned that the host countries from foreign and then local countries, what they do, they use something that is called direct investment or foreign direct investment. This foreign direct investment help them a lot to come together so that what they are producing is known, and then they have a ready market that they need. I think the next slide would really summarize the points and then the lessons that are learned. That another lesson that is learned is sourcing products. Okay, sourcing products under one umbrella. Like when Africa wanted, they wanted the vaccine, they came together and then they pulled their resources together to get the money or resources so that they source from a good source. And the next slide for the lesson learned. Okay, the other lesson learned is that the expansion of geographical diversity. Here, I mean, countries, they come together and they make friends, they make partnership in what they're doing so that they achieve economies of scale in this global and this era of pandemic. Thank you. We go to...
Thank you, Walter. I'm Smaya Nakandako presenting part B of a question to discuss the strategic options that can be designed by organizations which are surviving in these worst pandemic COVID eras. We started by defining a strategy, which is a plan designed to achieve long-term goals. Then the growth strategy. Here, in this strategy, one of the strategic options the companies should take up was a growth strategy. Here, companies are scaling up their capabilities and spreading their wings to different markets. And we mentioned those companies there, Jumia, Mukwano, etc. Then under this growth strategy, we have various ways on how companies are doing it. There is market penetration, where companies seek high volumes of sales by penetrating deeper in existing markets. Product development, modifying companies' products, features, packaging, improving all those so that the company is able to grow. Diversification, this one looks into entering into other markets. How are we going to diversify? How are we launching markets like Omesa? There is market development, which looks at increasing products through exploring new markets. You develop markets that you want to go into. Then cost leadership, which looks at implementation by having low costs of operations. The other The other strategic option is the stabilization strategy. It is actually implemented by organizations in unpredictable hard times, and companies here aim at protecting existing territories, the markets that they have. And under this, there is scaling down of operations. They reduce on the quantities produced of goods so that it fits within the era. Then there's customer retention strategies, and these refer to ideas, strategies to be implemented with so that the customers stay using the company's products. Then there's post-purchase customer engagement strategies. Here, we look at the final consumer of a product, customers giving us feedback, information on how they are using the products. Thank you.
Can speed up, we are having 5
Thank
minutes.
you, Sumaya.
My
Another
colleague
person?
Halima can take.
I'm Kaguya Halima, presenting part of the strategies. Among the strategies we have retrenchment. This strategy refers to the process through which companies can cut down all the products, or services which are not profitable. For example, we can take an example, Uganda Telecom, Posta Uganda, Uganda Airlines, and Uganda Railway. Another one, we have cost leadership. Here, top managers and dedicated individuals can think quickly to provide solutions to the longer survival of the organization. Another one, we have niche strategy. This refers to the positioning of a company's products or services to a particular segmented market. In this pandemic, this helps companies to scale back to viable customer segments so as to meet the expectation of customers. Let's take an example of AfriCell Uganda. Before its closure, AfriCell Uganda used to position itself in Kampala so that it can serve, my goodness.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. This is James. I think she has a problem with the network, but one of the strategies again that we identified under stable retrenchment was that e-procurement, whereby all the processes of vendor selection, payment terms, contract negotiations, and goods are purchased online. So this has helped organizations to reduce on the actually has helped in reducing the number of employees because most of the things are done online. Then there is the merger and acquisition. In this pandemic, most organizations are downsizing, so there's a need to emerge. That's where most of the businesses are integrated to form one. And this is one of the issues that the companies, organizations like French Carrefour supermarket has acquired and taken all to ShopRite. And then another strategy is that the issues of mergers and acquisition, which I've already explained above. Let me allow the last presenter to come in, please.
Thank you, colleagues. As per a continuity of the presentation of the strategy, we had a business continuity strategy. During this pandemic, most organizations really structured in a way that they have to continue operating and make business move forward with dealing with their continuous clients. And this has enabled them to continue. If you look at Mukwano during this pandemic period, they had to continue dealing with their clients to show that there's a continuity of business by going down to the members, to the clients to see that they continue serving them and they continue getting the raw material from the clients. There was also a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy is also a new type of strategy which has come on board, and it's a method of strategy whereby organization venture on new open market which no any other organization has been in before. They structure themselves in a way that no any other organization will interfere with their new operation. If you look at Jumia and then Jumia system of operation, They are the pioneer and nobody is supposed to interfere in their business flow. So they become the market owner of the operation. So with that, I give it back to James to conclude the remarks.
James, can you conclude and recommend?
All right. On the conclusion, our recommendations were saying that a global distribution of production should be encouraged through global value chains development. Policy measures that promote global value chains should be put in place. During these past decades, JVC expansion has improved farm productivity and supported economic growth globally. Many developing countries have received a boost for growth from participating in GVCs that has created millions of jobs and lifted people from poverty. However, the gains from global value chain expansion have not been distributed equal across countries, farms, and individuals. Appropriate policy measures are needed to mitigate these adverse effects. JVC participation policies should